Okay, guys. I am of two minds of taking this on. I'm deliberately not showing my face in shame. It is, in fact, in shame because I'm somewhat hesitant to take this on because it delves into the murky, brackish waters. Brackish. Look it up. Of identity politics and how fraught with peril they can be. But there's also just a level of common sense, authenticity, and basic decency and honesty at the core of this that just offends my, and not offend as in pearl clutching, I want it burned off the internet, insults my intelligence kind of offends my sensibilities. So this whole controversy insults my intelligence from start to finish, and it should insult yours, in my opinion. Not so humble opinion. See, I'm not going to say in my humble opinion because I'm not going to be humble about this. I feel strongly about this, so I'm not going to play the nonsense passive-aggressive say what I should say instead of say what I mean, because that's at the core of what's going on here and what I have the problem with this. But this is so stupid upon stupid upon stupid upon stupid. There's so many layers of stupid. It's like those, what are those desserts, the millefeuille or whatever, the 1,000 layers cakes, you know, it's all these little layers. It's like an onion of stupid, and yeah, it's making me eyes water, all the stupid. What am I talking about here? Well, PewDiePie, for people who don't know who PewDiePie is, bless you for not knowing who PewDiePie is. It means there is a god, possibly, that PewDiePie is not a household name everywhere, but PewDiePie is a YouTuber that basically, and I'm being derivative here, but made his name with high-pitched screams and yelling YOLO while playing survival horror games not terribly well. And people are like, oh, Leanna's throwing shade. That is just a description of what he did. If you want to claim it's an insult, perhaps it is. But I am trying to describe accurately, from what I understand, how he became a thing. This is how I discovered him. And consuming PewDiePie content is like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like the first video, like, okay, this guy's funny. He's having fun. He's not the greatest gamer, but he's having a great time with it. And then you watch another video and you realize it's exceptionally similar. And so you realize it's not authentic. It's not just what he does. And if he's a goof, he's a goof. If he's not, he's not, you know, kind of like me. He's hitting the same beats all the time and overusing certain things, so you can tell it's very much deliberate. It is a performance. It is a character of sorts. He's playing up the dumb. But sometimes if you stare into the dumb long enough, you become the dumb. And 6 months ago, PewDiePie, whose name is, I can't even pronounce his last name. Not gonna try. I apologize. But I'm just gonna call him PewDiePie. But 6 months ago, he got into trouble, got dropped by his Disney-owned, I don't know what you call it anymore, what you call the Maker program, but for using things that were determined to be anti-Semitic. Now, at the time, there was something of a satire argument for what he did. That he, in that case, was using a deliberately offensive word, a phrase, which was death to all Jews or something like that, to show something about something. I don't know. I don't necessarily agree that it was as clever as he thought it was, but at least I can see what he was intending to do, and that made sense to me. This doesn't. This blurting out of the N-word during a live stream is not in the same ballpark at all. For one, fool me twice territory. You don't get to just go, oh, I didn't realize, you know, it was just satire. I didn't intend, you know. You don't get to do that twice. At this point, he should have taken it upon himself, if he cares about his career at all, sorry for banging on the desk, to inform himself of these cultural sensitivities, assuming he does not want to get in trouble again. It is possible that he's just self-immolating, and if that's so, the people around him need to get him off the internet and get him into some kind of restorative care as fast as possible. Because if we are watching someone melt down in front of the public eye, the people around him are enabling that. They need to get him off the internet and get him into some help if that's what's going on. But let's look at what he did. He was playing PlayerUnknown Battleground. Somebody was kicking his ass because, like I said, he's not very good at games, and that is not me saying I am especially a good player. I don't claim to be. I am a good analyst, you know, but I don't get into these things and then start cursing because I'm getting beaten up. I expect to lose because I am not a very good multiplayer player. But instead of knowing sort of his limits, a guy's kicking his ass and the guy goes, PewDiePie says, what an effing N-word. Sorry, but what the F? Now, this is the part that gets me. We'll talk about that in a second. But this is the part that gets me. He then added, I don't mean that in a bad way. Pewds, baby, there is no usage of the N-word that a white man can muster that isn't in a bad way. There is no such thing. And the reason I am bothered by this is I think he knows that. I think he had at least the presence of mind to know he stepped in it. But instead of going, oh wow, I shouldn't have said that, bad pewds, he was disingenuous. He said something that just absolutely wasn't true. He was mad that somebody was showing up his suckage, and he lashed out. But the fact that he lashed out with those words, I'm missing some context here. I have no idea why he assumed the player was black. Perhaps it was a friend of his. But still, how does one's brain even go there? That's the thing that flies out of your mouth? I can understand asshole. I can understand fuckface. I can, even understand butt monster. Or monkey cheese farts. Or something like that. And, if you're a truly great trash talker, you string various vulgarities together in colorful and creative ways. That is the art of the trash talk. If you can be clever, then as much as what you've said is offensive, there's an art to it. But effing N-word, no art to that. The fact that his brain reached for that when he was angry says that he has too much exposure to the word for a level that is healthy for a obviously impressionable white boy. And I say this as someone who grew up listening to gangsta rap. Now, some of you may be going, why is it okay for a black person and not okay for a white person to use the N-word? Well, first of all, it's a slightly different context, but I'm not going to repeat the pronunciation because then it's me saying it and someone can cut that and use it against me. And this is why people post OJ don't use this word in the media. You don't want to get Mark Furman. For people who don't know, OJ's defense team used a out of context snippet of Mark Furman dropping an N-bomb to try to make him seem like a racist cop. Apparently the tape was for a consulting gig he was doing and saying some cops say this. He did not espouse those views himself, but they made him seem like a racist. And that taught anybody who was following the O.J. Simpson case at the time that you use that word, it can not go well for you. It can be used against you. It can be painted and used in manipulative and bad ways. Just don't use it. There are certain words you'd never dare say to your mother, no matter how angry you were, if you have an at all decent relationship with your mother. There are certain words you just don't use in public, and video games are in public. Now, why? Well, because the hip-hop, the urban reclamation of the N-bomb is just that, a reclamation. It is a word that was a slur against black people, so black people reclaim it so it stings less when they hear it. Now, that is not useful to a white person, and that is why there is greater cultural license for black people to be allowed to say it, especially in hip-hop music, which is, you know, something of the art of politically incorrect emotional catharsis. But the story does not stay at PewDiePie's undeniable stupidity and potential racism. And the reason I say potential racism is because he's actually deluded enough to think that calling someone an N-word is ever not in a bad way. Somebody has to sit this boy down and explain, you know, American history to him. Because he might be originally from Sweden, but he lives and works in the US. He is making his money in US dollars. He has to take what comes with that. If you want the access to the barrel loads of money, you know, Donkey Kong monkeys are just hucking barrels of money down. And if you got the Mario hammer, you can smash those and take all the money. Okay? But what comes with that is the unique form of racial sensitivity required to do business in America. And that is exemplified by an episode of the wonderful show Ballers, that everything's good, they're on a yacht, they're partying, they're drinking, they're doing coke off very attractive women's stomachs, they're all partying, they're having a great time, and then the dweeby accountant guy drops an N-bomb. Fun over, they throw him off the boat. That is funny because people in the know in America, and PewDiePie, I believe, lives in Los Angeles, so he has no excuse not to know that. But you live in any major U.S. urban center, you know not to say that word if you are white. Not repeating hip-hop lyrics, you can say it if you have to quote it. Be careful. Be very careful when you quote it, because the minute that word comes out of your mouth, somebody can use it out of context against you. And this is fair. People say, that's not fair. No, it is fair. It's a little bit of respect for the black people in America who have to live with family stories of horrible oppression. And I'm not talking just about slavery. I'm talking about redlining, and I'm talking about, you know, the lack of access to business loans and not having the full benefit of the, you know, the laws in the Great Depression because of these racist social policies. And no, this is not my opinion that they were racist. It is documented evidence that the people who oversaw the execution of certain New Deal housing and loan policies were racist because they thought the mere presence of a black person in a neighborhood would drive down the property values and make the loan less of a healthy risk. I wish I was kidding, but this is the reality of race in America. You've got, you know, the Jim Crow era. You've got the resurgence of that in response to the civil rights movement of the 1960s. You've got the crap going on in places like Charlottesville and what's the other? Where did Dylan Roof shoot that? That's another Charlottetown. I can't keep them all straight. There's so many, you know, acts of just terrible racism against innocents. You know, America has a horrible history on this issue. So the fact that we as white people are not allowed to use one word pales in comparison to the things historically that what black people have not been able to do just because they're black. So have a little sensitivity and recognize that you are not using that word out of respect for that, for the trauma, for the frustration. Just, this should be simple. This should just be simple. And this isn't, oh no, I'm going to pretend I've never used that word ever. I read To Kill a Mockingbird. I'm going to show you an article in a bit that uses that word. And in fact, I read the portion to my husband because, wow, it hit me like a hammer. It actually made me uncomfortable, and I thought it was good writing in that regard. More on that later. But you don't use the word casually. And you never for a second begin to think that it isn't meant in a bad way. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. You only get artistic license to use that word if you know it's meant in a bad way. Hence, Django. That was a bad way. You know? So, I think I've made my point there. I hope. People are like, shut up. I know I totally Rachel mad out that. I went on way too long. But people blur the lines of that issue, and it drives me crazy. Because I'm somebody who loves my hip-hop, and I have a self-edit on it. You know? Like, I dropped the B word, and I dropped the N word from all the lyrics. So, you know, it's always got 99 problems, but ain't one. Like, I just don't say it out of self-respect. And I don't say the other things out of respect for other people, but it gets dumber. You will notice the horribly nefarious, straight out of spray-painted hell with, I don't know if these are eyes or boobs, but I digress. Looking ass. No, probably not. There's a lot of potential asses in the background. I'm getting distracted because this whole story just, oh my God. See? It makes you stupid. But you notice the selection of the photo, and I chose this deliberately to show how the stupid just burns deeper and deeper and deeper in this story. Somebody deliberately chose this photo. I don't even know where it came from. Because most photos you see of PewDiePie, most videos you see of PewDiePie are more like this. This is what you normally see when you see PewDiePie. Sort of a mix of, you know, that boy next door meets Freddy from Scooby-Doo, meets a particularly dumb-looking rabbit. You know the raving rabbits? And that's not to say I think the guy's dumb. I'm just saying he plays the fool a lot in his videos. So there's normally a lot more derp in his public image. This is a more accurate depiction of the guy the media is covering right now than this. But this does not look like the textbook white supremacist villain in a very cheesy episode of Law and Order Special Victims Unit. So they chose the most damning photo they possibly could to make the whole thing seem like an act of verbal violence and not a very, very stupid, entitled, and clueless thing a person did. Now then you get into, is it racist? Well, yes, the word is racist. It is a racist word. It is. You cannot claim that calling someone an N-word is not an act of racism, even when hip-hoppers do it. When, you know, guys in the ghetto call each other that, it is a reminder that the system is racist. Whether you believe that or not, that is at the root of that. That is at the root of that behavior. You cannot use the word without acknowledging the inherent racism in it. So it was a racist act. And the fact that PewDiePie thinks he had no racist intent is the sign of a disconnect that he needs to work on. And if you disagree with me on this point, there's no point in even talking about it because I will not be able to convince you. But the reality is some words just are inherently bad in that way. The reason they carry the charge that they do is because they are inherently racist. Again, more on that later because it gets better or worse. Okay? In response to the F and N word, but not in a bad way, the co-founder of Campo Santo, a video game company that makes a game called Firewatch that I haven't played, in part because they sent me a whole bunch of press releases and no review copy. That's relevant in a bit. But the Campo Santo co-founder, Sean Vanaman, I don't know. See, I don't know. You can't assume. But tweeted plans to file DMCA takedown request of all videos of PewDiePie's playing Firewatch. Now, here's the tweet thread. The tweet thread? The tweet thread. There we go. Now, you know, total cool guy sunglasses, which tends to indicate not cool at all. Again, no insult, just saying. Okay? Certain facts are facts. And we're filing a DMCA takedown of PewDiePie's Firewatch content and any future Campo Santo games. Now, I do this to show fairness. It was accurately reported what I said. And he says, there's a bit of leeway you have with the internet when you wake up every day and make video games. There's also a breaking point. I don't know what that means. I know what the next thing means. I am sick of this child getting more and more chances to make money off of what we make. He's also promoting your game. He's worse than a closeted racist. Oh, worse than a closeted racist. He's a propagator of despicable garbage that does real damage to the culture around this industry. Excuse me? Propagator of despicable garbage that does real damage to the culture around this industry. Anybody thinks that a guy who practically has a tilt sign in his eyes, if you're too young to know those cartoons, I forgive you. But I don't think anybody takes PewDiePie seriously enough to make him a cultural force. The thing that has propelled PewDiePie to millions and millions and millions of dollars is he does a lot of the same things that better players do, only he makes it cute and cuddly, or he used to, for a younger audience. He's the video game equivalent of when, you know, black music was considered too edgy for white audiences, so they'd re-record a song like Roll With Me, Henry, with a white woman singing, and it's Dance With Me, Henry instead, because Roll With Me, Henry was too sexual. He does the equivalent. So it's like gamer culture light, but 100% less scary, right? So it's only kind of aggressive. And it's only, you know, kind of edgy. But look, he's a clean-cut boy that, you know, you don't have to worry about bringing home because, you know, you don't want to date a black guy. It's that kind of thinking. I'm not saying PewDiePie fans are racist. It's just that's the mentality. It's diluting it. That's the word I was looking for. We're all reaching for it. See, getting stupid. PewDiePie is not a driver of gamer culture. PewDiePie is a funhouse mirror of gamer culture. They watch what other people doing. They take the cultural zeitgeist and, like, for a while, literally Disneyfied it. And that's why what he did with the anti-Semitism and what he did with this N-bomb is so inadvisable. It's violating his brand. The only reason he works is he's a more non-threatening form of gamer. He's a gamer that doesn't look like what people expect a gamer to look like. And you think that doesn't matter? Oh, it matters. Parents judge a lot by the way the things their little darlings watch look. It matters. So this idea that he has any impact on gaming culture is absurd. And not only is this Campo Santo guy who is using a Spanish-sounding game name, though he's Ireland-born and Wyoming-raised. Sure. Whoops, lost it. Back up. There it is. It got lost in Wyoming. It says, I'd urge other developers and we're reaching out to folks much larger than us to cut him off from the content that has made him a millionaire. Furthermore, we're complicit. I'm sure we've made money off the 5.7 million views that video has, and that's something for us to think about. Wow, humble brag right there. First of all, whoa, our video was so popular. So many people saw our game. Ha ha, good for us. Good team. But trying to tell other developers what to do. No. You make your point and abuse the DMCA system. More on that in a bit. You let other developers decide for themselves what they want to do about PewDiePie. Do not try to shame your more successful friends. Okay? But then he says, lastly, I love streamers. I watch them daily, and we sent out over 3,000 keys to professional and amateur streamers of Firewatch. Now, remember I said that I didn't play it because I didn't get a code. I got press releases but didn't get a code. There's me, because I am mouthy. I am an uppity woman. I am bossy. Okay, here's me. What percentage were women? Because I didn't get one. You can do more good helping others get access than crucifying Pewds for being a fool. Now, that was what I said to him publicly. I didn't want to get into the whole misuse of the DMCA thing because it took too long. It would take too long. It's not suitable for a tweet. I was making my point that A2 Brute, don't judge other people unless you're willing to look in the mirror. There are plenty of ways, and I hate the term complicit, but there are plenty of ways that game developers maintain the status quo in gaming. And giving review copies to PewDiePie is not one of them. The problem is you only give review copies to people like PewDiePie. You don't go out and seek up-and-coming talent that may not have the threshold of views, but whose stuff you like, and you just go, okay, I'm going to help you out. You seem to be an ethical person. You seem to really care about this. You don't quite meet our thresholds, but here, anyway, develop talent. No, it's strictly a numbers game. It is completely mercenary, and I think it's kind of hilarious that he knew exactly how many views the PewDiePie Firewatch video had. Like, what? What? And DMCAing the video now doesn't matter. The game was out months ago. PewDiePie's already been paid. This is just performance. This is outrage performance. It doesn't actually take a cent out of PewDiePie's pocket. And if you want to deny him review copies in future, that's hunky-dory. Actions have consequences, but let other developers make the choice for themselves. Thanks very much. Because here's what you probably won't tell them. Campo Santo from Ireland. This is actually an abuse of the DMCA system. And the reason I say that is not because I don't think that creators have the right to control their copyright. They already granted him the copyright by giving him the review copy for the purpose of a review. You don't then get to control what the reviewer does with that copy. You have to give them discretion because you trust them with your content to do what you want, to do what is ethical. If that means a bad review, that means a bad review. If that means somewhat controversial content in keeping with their brand, well, you can say Total Biscuit is controversial. You also say Feminist Frequency is controversial. People say I'm controversial, and it's like, is that supposed to insult me? I'm controversial because I tackle difficult subjects in a nuanced way, thereby pissing off pretty much everyone. That is my job. My job is not to make you feel good because you agree 100%. My job is to make you think, because I've been doing this long enough to actually know a thing or two about game design in the gaming industry. So this idea, I disagree. So what? Did you take a moment to try to absorb the content? But what happens in a DMCA claim, it's not like the advertiser thing where you submit to YouTube for review to get your monetization status back. Whether or not to lift a DMCA claim is solely at the discretion of the copyright holder. YouTube does not play referee. And so it is a system that is very easy to abuse, which is why we must condemn any developer, no matter how well-meaning, from abusing it because somebody they granted a review copy to said something they did not like. This is not a new thing. There was that whole issue with Jim Sterling. There was the H3H3, is that the right company, lawsuit, all that stuff. There is an issue with this sort of abuse of something that is a concession of YouTube's so that these copyright holders don't sue YouTube. YouTube is covering their ass, but because the copyright holders hold phenomenal cosmic power on this regard, we have to keep them in check so they use that power ethically. And this, I do not believe, is an actual legitimate copyright claim. They knew he was using it. They granted him the copyright. Don't give him more review copies in future. Condemn his statements. That is fine. But to retroactively abuse the system, that's wrong. That's the DMCA equivalent of dropping an N-bomb and saying, I don't mean it in a bad way. I'm abusing the system for good. I'm doing something that is objectively wrong, but I don't mean it in a bad way. You see what I mean? We're swirling the bowl of stupid. But it got worse as far as I'm concerned. And I'm going to use the nice picture of PewDiePie. You know, good pewds, evil pewds, good pewds, evil pewds, good pewds, evil pewds. Like, oh my God, the framing is just, this is the guy we're talking about here, okay? Entitled, got it super easy. And this is the thing that personally bothers me about what he did. Dude, you are so lucky. All you have to do is not be a complete flaming jackass. And for some odd reason, you just delight in being a complete flaming jackass every 6 months. What is wrong with you? Don't you like money? I mean, I know you're from Sweden. Maybe you're not used to the government not taking 60% of your income in taxes, but come on, man. You have a sweet deal. Out of respect for the rest of us that are slaving away and have not had your success, show some appreciation, show some gratitude for that. Don't be an entitled cocknose. See, that was a little bit more clever than F and N word. What's a cocknose? It's a useless insult. It means nothing. I have nothing against cocknoses, you know. The nose with the penis on it could be extremely useful in certain personal circumstances with the right person that you love very much. But this has descended on Twitter, and I've been dealing with this all day, and this is why I finally decided to tackle this instead of ignoring it, which was probably the right thing to do for my own well-being, but not the right thing to do in terms of actually helping people understand this issue, not the issue according to me, what's going on with this issue. But there were people online even debating whether or not what he did was racist. Like I said, there is no way that word is not racist. And that's the last thing I'm going to do. I'm going to show you another example of a use of the word that is deliberately racist and how that works. Now, there is no doubt that the word is racist. And just because he didn't mean to be racist does not mean the act was not racist, right? I almost made a really bad metaphor, and then I realized, damn, that's one of the things that, yeah, you know, it's like that thing, it's the equivalent, I'm trying to reach an analogy that doesn't work. You know that typical thing of girls being catty in school, like a bunch of PewDiePie's core fan base sitting around and, oh my God, did you see what Becky was wearing? Like, she looks so fat in those jeans. Why does she wear that? Doesn't she know she looks fat? And Becky comes by, hears it, gets hurt, and the out is, oh, sorry, Becky, we didn't mean for you to hear that. Like, that's the equivalent of that I didn't mean anything, not in a bad way. You know, yeah, You were being mean. You were being catty. An adult owns that. And I would have been better if he'd caught himself right away and went, oh shit, dude, sorry, that was really bad. Like, that was bad of me to say. I'm sorry, bad me, totally take it back. I would have a completely different concept of this whole thing if he did immediately catch himself. But he didn't. Evil PewDiePie came out. And instead of going, that was bad, he was disingenuous. I don't mean that in a bad way. This is where I get off the stupid bus, okay? People who think that you can throw that word around as a white person and it isn't going to automatically be interpreted in a bad way has some serious soul searching to do, has some serious learning and some serious education to do. Because just because you don't intend to do something bad does not mean that bad is not done if you are extremely careless. So you don't, after 6 months ago, offending everybody over something perceived to be anti-Semitic that, quite frankly, he got a much greater pass on because it wasn't part of a satirical skit. 6 months later, you don't get to turn around, pull this, and say, I don't mean this in a bad way. He should know by now. He should have been sensitized to the fact that people are going to take this sensitively. That was weak. And that's ableist. Oh no, can't say weak. It was a pathetic attempt to not apologize, to not own it. And fortunately, a really provocative article came out it's in the October issue of The Atlantic, and they made it available online. Ta-Nehisi Coates, I think his last name's pronounced Coates. But he wrote this very provocative article about the first white president and deliberately inverting Barack Obama being the first black president, because the article's ostensibly about Donald Trump being the first white president, making the case for that. It's really not like Ta-Nehisi Coates tend to. It tends to be this sort of meandering narrative that goes in and out, and it's very interesting and well written and really great rhetoric in it. But you have to go on the journey with the only long form stuff, and I don't even know you can call this long form. The only long form stuff I've read of his is his comic book work, and it's really good. I haven't read any of his novels or published, books. I'll admit, I'm not going to try to be a faux intellectual here. Comic books, okay? But I like his writing, and I like his op-ed writing. And in this article, the reason I'm comparing that is Ta-Nehisi Coates embraces the inherent badness, the inherent offensiveness of the N-word to make his point, and it's a few paragraphs down. And when you read this paragraph, it is a slap in the face and repeated punches in the gut. Okay? And I'm not going to repeat it because it loses its punch if it's just N-word, N-word, N-word. The only way this paragraph worked is if the author went for the word and smacked the reader across the face and punched them in the gut with the inherent harshness of the word. And this is the difference between using an offensive word with deliberateness and using an offensive word and then went, oh man, didn't mean to be offensive. Why you gotta be like that? Sorry you were offended. Sorry you got upset. I mean, this is all in the same area. Ta-Nehisi Coates, and I may be butchering his last name. I apologize. He's speaking like an informed, or writing like an informed and educated person, not a person hiding behind foolishness. And you guys know I've talked in previous videos about how I dislike the gamer dumbass routine. I didn't like it when Don't Eat Grout guy did it at that games talk about cultural complicity. You don't get up there and say, I act stupid for a living, and then expect me to take you seriously on a very important and controversial topic. You act stupid for a living. I will consult you on stupidity and nothing else. We gotta get over this dumbass defense, because people can use it for anything. And this is the other side of listen and believe. You can do anything offensive that you want, then go, I didn't mean to, and get off the hook. You never have to examine your behavior. You never have to come to terms with the impact that word has on a certain portion of the population. You never have to own your shit and be a grown-up. And I won't dwell in this article. I suggest you read it on your own if you're interested. It's a good piece of writing. It's longish for a magazine piece, but it is a good piece of writing. It will challenge you. It will offend you. It's designed to. And I give a piece of writing more credit like this that is deliberately out to defend. I would maintain that Ta-Nehisi Coates is actually overstating certain viewpoints for effect with deliberateness, because I've read other stuff he's done that has been much more measured. There's a time to moderate and there's a time to let rip. But if somebody comes up to him or The Atlantic and say, I was offended by that, it's probably going to be good. It made you think. Instead of, oh, no intent to offend. There was no intent to upset anybody. That's nonsense when you're using N-bombs. And this is what we've got to get away from in gaming. This dumb guy defense. Oh, we're just a bunch of nerds. Oh, no one takes us seriously. Oh, we just act stupid for a living. When you're a millionaire because of stupidity, you have a greater responsibility. And I think that any YouTuber who actually wants to do it professionally, you have to recognize that there are limitations to every brand. I decide to think for myself and not take the easy popular opinions. And there are trade-offs to that. There are consequences to that. And do they piss me off? Sometimes, sure they do. I don't think they're right. But I don't pretend they're not there. I don't pretend that I am not deliberately sailing into a headwind, except when I legitimately am surprised by the backlash to something. It does happen, but most of the time I'm like, yeah, I expected people to get pissed off about that. Ah, well, I don't care. I did it. And if I lose some people because they can't follow where I'm going, that's the breaks. That is the consequence from creating content that challenges. Not everybody is interested in being challenged. Now, you hope that they're just not interested in being challenged that day and come back, but people have free will. That's accountable. Okay? When a YouTuber is persistently offensive, like Howard Stern's kind of thing. You know, Howard Stern's an example of, he did this stuff because he thought it was funny and he thought that it wasn't hurting anybody. Now, his views have evolved over the years, but he's offensive because he doesn't think he's being harmful and he thinks people are a little too easily offended. But that means he's had his ups and downs over the years, and there are people that call him a whole bunch of names and say, you know, a whole bunch of stuff about him that if you actually listen to his content isn't true. But I've said this before. These guys in gaming are allowed to say I act dumb for a living because they don't deal with the cultural stereotypes that actually assume they're dumb. They're working through this place, and they're on both. I mean, they're guys like PewDiePie that just is losing his mind or something. But then there's guys like this and Don't Eat Grout Man who also take for granted that they can do these things. And the people that they claim to have nothing against or actually be, I support, identity politics group of the month. A woman can't go up and act stupid for a living and then expect to be taken seriously. We're treated like a bimbo. We dress it all provocatively. We're treated like a bimbo, no matter how smart what is coming out of our mouth is. The great thing about gamers is, you could have the biggest boobs in the world and they can be pushed up to your chin and just covered by sequins. And if you're saying something intelligent, gamers are comfortable enough with the fap that, they'll hit pause, finish up, and then they'll go back and listen to what you had to say. You can't ask for more than that. On the other hand, we've got these clean-cut gamer light guys and these I am the savior of gaming guys. But they're both working through the same type of privilege that they're unwilling to address, which is even the black people that they are claiming to advocate for don't have the luxury of acting like an idiot and then being expected to be taken seriously because they have something to say at a games conference. You can't even get your talk accepted at a games conference if you make your money on foolishness. Okay? These guys, you're only allowed to say whatever you want if you come from a certain elite club. And you notice I haven't necessarily mentioned race. And it's not even necessarily about gender. It's connected heavily to those things, but that's not what it's about. It's about being in the in club or the out club. And if you're in the in club, you're able to abuse the various powers. You're able to be disingenuous about what your intents are. And you can relatively get away with it because your financial base is so huge that you can take a 15 to 30% hit and still be raking in millions. And people are going to stay with you because you're raking in millions. My big concern for PewDiePie right now is not his career. My concern for him is his stability. Because this is two things now where he should have known better. And he could just be a flaming asshole, and I'm giving him too much credit here. But this may be a mark of a meltdown. And if that's true, the people around him should stop, enabling him and get him some help. And the same goes for these guys in gaming who want to be the great saviors of gaming. No, you're not. No one person can be. Do your thing. Make a great game. Don't jump to crucify someone else in the industry because you make art that challenges as much as anybody else. And someday, if you really are an artist, you will do something that also offends. And you will do something that puts you on the hot seat. And it might not be a moral thing. It might just be you made a crap game. And you will be at the mercy of the hordes. And then that'll be, this isn't fair. This is harassment. But then people rightly go back and find these things and say, I'm going to urge other developers to cut him off and destroy his career and all that stuff. Now, PewDiePie could live off the money he's made for the rest of life. Nobody's crying for him. But, this circle jerk firing squad that is dialogue in gaming is ridiculous. And that's what I'm talking about, the quicksand of stupid. It is completely understandable that you would be bothered by the comments of evil PewDiePie. But what you do with that matters. And what you do with that indicates where you are coming from and what your intents are. If your intention is to grandstand, by all means, abuse the DMCA powers on Twitter. And I maintain that this isn't abuse because it's not protecting your copyright. It's yanking back your copyright because somebody did something months after the fact that you don't like. It's retroactively punitive. That's not what the system is for. It's to stop people from taking your content and making money off it without your permission. And some could say, well, that's what he's doing. Yeah, except he's not really making any more money off it. The video's months old. He's already made his money. But what we should be doing is looking at what happened here and treating PewDiePie like PewDiePie and forgetting about evil PewDiePie and just going for PewDiePie. And he can't be allowed to just skate on this, but it's better to use this to educate people about why this stuff is wrong than to just go, it's wrong, it's wrong, it's wrong, no, no discussion, it's wrong, nope, nope, wrong, 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 because you're just trying to protect yourself there. And that's why I ultimately decided to eat a dose of stupid myself and take this on, even though I know people are going to yell at me for various things. Because we do have to talk about this. Emphasis on talk. And that means sometimes calling out people on both sides who are going over the line. But it also means giving the benefit of the doubt and treating a guy not like an evil white supremacist because he's got a word in his vocabulary that he needs to bleach out more than his hair. And remember that this is the same dude in this photo. People are flawed. That doesn't make them the embodiments of evil. So I'm going to stop there. Thanks for watching.